So I made a video last week on self-therapy, and I very briefly brushed on some tools for being your own therapist. And I've decided to do a series of videos breaking down each of those things in the previous video. I have made a video on journaling, and this will be the second therapy tool video. So we're going to be focusing on shame healing, self-acceptance. The sooner you can start your journey of shame healing and letting go of guilt and self-acceptance, the better. So, firstly, where does this shame come from in the first place? For someone with a neurodiversity and someone who grew up with things like gender dysphoria, I can now point to where my shame and where my guilt came from. Growing up undiagnosed as a child, there was always this feeling that I was doing something wrong and I was being wrong all the time. This feedback loop from like teachers and people around me, other children in the class, a constant feeling that I was just doing it wrong. And this caused a lot of my guilt and a lot of my shame. Just the indirect or direct, you're wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're not fitting in, and not knowing why caused this tremendous guilt, because if you're doing something wrong, you feel guilty. And this feedback, this societal feedback, kept creeping in as I got older, and it just kept reinforcing that I was defected. And I just felt shameful for who I was. I wasn't comfortable, and I had to perform like a normal person. I had to perform gender roles in order to fit in and to be like a man. Awful, absolutely awful. And this societal feedback, just made me feel broken and just shameful. How do we heal this shame? Once you pinpoint where your shame came from, which can take a long time, and it can take years of therapy to actually find out where this shame comes from. I heard a video, Savannah Brown, she said, "You didn't arrive here with your shame." And this really resonated with me. We did not arrive here with our shame. But anyways, the healing journey comes from the context. So my context being the undiagnosed autism, possible ADHD as well, and the gender dysphoria, and just general kind of toxic environment that I was brought up in. This all led to my shame. This is my context. So knowing this context is the first step. Second step is forgiveness. You haven't done anything wrong. This shame and guilt isn't because you did anything wrong. It's because you feel like you've done something wrong. You can learn to forgive yourself. And this is a very slow, gradual journey. It's very rocky and it's very uphill. It's a slow journey, but you have to slowly forgive yourself. You have to go back. Whenever a memory comes up, you forgive yourself for being a certain way. You let go of this guilt and this shame. And it takes so long. It's such a nice process once you feel it lift, you know? What happens after you forgive yourself? You start building self-trust. This takes a long time as well, but this is all part of this road of self-acceptance that we need to stay on. You build self-trust once you start to forgive yourself. And then you start to have your back. You start to set boundaries for like the world you're in, workplace, school, friends and family. You start to set boundaries, and that's when you know you really do like yourself enough to set boundaries, to trust your instinct, to start trusting when you might be slipping into people pleasing. I did a short video on people pleasing to feed into this one, really, just to get people to watch this. But people pleasing is a thing that a lot of neurodiverse people really fall victim to, and it's a form of masking. I even struggle now. I've only just started to learn to say no, and that it's not a bad thing to say no. You shouldn't feel guilty for saying no. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not selfish to say no to things. Even if those things impact other people, learning to say no is a good sign that you are on this road of self-acceptance and you trust yourself. But again, it's a survival mechanism to people please and to say yes to everything. It's a form of masking. And once you start to unmask, you can also start to learn to say no as well. But yeah, the burnout you get from people pleasing and saying yes to everything, it's a pretty hefty burnout. But you end up living a life that you didn't want to live. You end up living other people's lives when you people please. You lose your autonomy. I felt hijacked as a teenager because I was just doing what was expected of me to do. It's not in your best interest to just people please your whole life, you know? Setting boundaries. I think to sum everything up, set boundaries, practice saying no. And yeah, this is the first step of self-acceptance, building a sustainable life. You'll notice a theme here and they all tie into each other. And this is building self-trust, self-acceptance, letting go of guilt, shame, and getting to know yourself. So yeah, this was the self-acceptance video from the self-therapy series. If you haven't seen the journaling one, I recommend checking the journaling one out. The journaling one is also really useful and it ties nicely into this. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you want to learn more about self-therapy and autism, ADHD, neurodivergence. And thank you so much. We're close to 200 subscribers, and when we hit 200 I'll release my morning in the life video.